Hello, welcome back to another beer review. Now, the beer I've got now is a Belgian beer, but it doesn't come across as a Belgian beer. We have got a beer with a bit of difference. We have got a gluten-free beer. Now, I've done gluten-free beers before, and on the whole, you know, when you realise, there is a market for this type of thing, on the whole, they've been okay. So, this beer was started by a Belgian professor. Let's go back. Actually, I'll go to the beginning of the history of this beer. I'll show you the beer first on this. So the beer is Green's Gilded Golden Ale, gluten free. There you go, boys and girls. Coming in at 4.8% ABV. It says brew 3 there. I don't know what that means. I'll read that in a minute for you. So there you go. So this beer, 1988. There's a fella called Derek Green who had to avoid gluten basically, and he liked his beer, like a lot of people do, like their beer. Anyway, back then, he didn't want to give up beer basically, and he had to go on a gluten-free diet. So he approached a lot of brewers, and at the time they didn't want to know. They didn't want to know about producing a gluten-free beer, because obviously they thought there wasn't a market for it. They must have thought this poor Derek Green bloke was an isolated case. So they avoided it. So as the years went on, of course, a lot more people have been diagnosed, having to avoid gluten and all that. And obviously to brew a beer like this, you have to use an alternative grain, which has to be gluten free. So in 2003, this Derek Green came across a Belgian professor who at the time, I think he had a daughter who was on a gluten-free diet, and he wanted to brew beer with an alternative grain. So they put their heads together, and in 2004 they were the first to release a gluten-free beer. And since then, obviously, with the more, I wouldn't say popularity of it, but with more cases of gluten-free and people being diagnosed being gluten-free, brewers have latched on and actually released beers. I think there's a gluten-free Speckled Hen now, and but back in the day though, it wasn't seen as as a normal thing to be gluten-free. So we got this beer, Greens, and all the range of beers these boys do is gluten-free. So, because I just checked the website out, quite a good website as well. So I'll read the back for you. This is a top fermented ale with a subtle dry finish. I'm not going to go into taste notes or anything like that. It's made with natural spring water. I'll read the top for it. It's craft brewed in Belgium, and this is the original gluten and wheat free beer. So I don't know what they're using as an alternative. It's just saying they've got malted barley, gluten removed. They haven't kind of said what specific type of barley they're using for this beer. So yeah, so anybody, hopefully, I'm hopeful that someone out there who's watching me or subscribed to me has got a gluten-free diet and will try these beers, because I think this beer is going to be quite good. And like I said, they've got a range of about 12 beers, all gluten-free. So let's crack her open, see what we get. A little bit of smoke there. there's the crown, the big green G, the big green G. See what we get from the... That's strange. I wasn't expecting that type of smell. It smells like a lager in a way. It smells, first of all, it smells sweet. Hint of biscuit maybe. And a hint of maltness there. Dare I say a little bit Ovaltine-y as well. So it smells very pleasant. So, you know, let's pour in. You know, people might turn their noses up at gluten-free beers, but, you know, I'd hate to be in a position where I had to have gluten-free beer all the time, you know. I hate to, you know, I count myself lucky not to have to be forced to have gluten-free beer all the time. It must be a terrible thing, really, you know. Terrible for your wallet as well, because I know that gluten-free products, even with bread and, you know, anything like that, is a lot more expensive in the shops as well. So I feel for people who have to have gluten-free products. I really do. So appearance, coppery. It is lots of sediment there, so it is bottle conditioned. The head's kind of like dissipated down a bit. I would say that's like a coppery colour. There's a heck of a load of sediment in there, I must admit. And you're getting a sweet, biscuity maltness. It does smell a bit lagery, which, you know, for me, it's the taste what matters. So I'm going to go in. So cheers. Little hint of caramel. Feels very biscuity. It feels like a very biscuity beer. Slightly dry as well. I think the carbonation's bringing out that dryness in this. But it is pleasant. It's very pleasant. Does feel cereal-like. It feels like there's a cereal backbone to this, with that biscuitiness and a slight caramelness. It's very prickly in carbonation in the mouth. But I'm thinking if I was gluten free and I had to drink this all the time, would I get bored with it? I think I might get bored with it. I'll be interested. Actually, I think I will go out of my way and try some of their different beers in their range to see, you know, what they're like as well. It's pleasant enough, and that's the main thing. And you can't, you know, if something's pleasant, then you can live with it, I suppose. But for me, you know, compared to other beers I've had, it's very middle of the road. So I'm going to leave it at that. Boys and girls, Green's Gilded Golden Ale. You know, give it a whirl. If you're gluten free, you might like that one. But compared to other beers, it's you know, very safe and that. But you know, sometimes you just can't help that. So on that note, thanks for watching. Please subscribe. Murder me in the comments. See you boys and girls on my next one.